It's 15 down and one more to go here tonight for the 2024 Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. There are two championships that already might be clinched going into tonight, but we still have one more to go here, of course, to wrap up this third season of Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar action. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our final live production of Canadian E-Motorsports Network action on iRacing here on our YouTube channel in the year of 2024. To wrap it all up, there may be no better way to conclude the year than to be at a facility that we've never been to before in the history of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. Welcome to round 16 of 16 for the Greg Moore Cup and round 8 of 8 for the AJ Foyt Cup Oval Championship. This is the first annual Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing at Nashville Superspeedway. Bringing you the action here tonight, of course, for one final time here in 2024. Regan McCauley and Jordy Kerher out at Prince Edward Island. Jordy, one final ride here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway, again at a track that we've never been to before within the network. And, of course, for our first time in the network, for the first time here, thank goodness that it's on iRacing, not back on the console side of things, is obviously... for how far we've come here now at the end of 2024 and thinking back to how this all began back in 2020 and going through the years eventually to the transition of iRacing. Quite the wrap up here to this yet again another year of Canadian E-Motorsports Network action.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the oval side of things, you've got it bang on. I mean, we've been talking all season about kind of the unpredictability of this side of the IndyCar series, and harder to find, a better kind of conclusion, like you said, than to go to literally somewhere we've never been before in any vehicle. So, yeah, we'll see. It's pretty well a level playing field for all of our drivers here tonight, I would say. At this point, just we'll see who has prepared over the course of the week and who's going to be off the pace and, who's going to put together a nice finale to the 2024 season.
And now, considering that what you see now up on the screen, you see this name once again, you could argue that thank goodness now we have a championship battle going into tonight where this guy right here is not fully gone away from the rest of the field compared to back in the Greg Moore Cup and the Mario Andretti Cup, of course. Officially clinched the both of the, or at least one of them officially back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca last Tuesday night, of course, winning the 107 miles at Laguna Seca for his 8th win of the season, leading every single lap of the third annual running of the event within the Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series. I mean, won the pole, led every single lap, got the fastest lap, the best average lap. He became the new all-time wins leader on the IndyCar Series. Like, you hear all that,
Yeah, I mean, you run out of things to say about the guy, quite honestly. And, again, the fact that, and we mentioned this last week, he was literally one corner away from sweeping all of the road courses for this year. Like 7 out of 8 is amazing as it is. And, last week was another fine example of it. But yeah, we'll see if Bradley Sexton can ride that momentum into, sweeping everything here tonight. And he is in the proverbial driver's seat, as we'll get into very shortly. But yeah, nobody was touching him last week.
Now, of course, there was Jordan Kalinian in the 00 who did challenge him a little bit early on in the race for about the first 5 to 10 laps or so, and then eventually fell off towards that fuel window that we had about halfway through the race or so. But yes, Sexton, yet again, another race where he won the pole and won the race. Every single time he's won the pole this season, he has yet to lose the race eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a matter of, consolidating the dominance as much as anything else. I mean, some situations have been different than others, but when you see, a near 45-second margin of victory, I've said it a couple of times this year, there's levels to this, and the 21 has just been on a completely different plane on the streets and road courses over the course of this season. So I think the lion's share of the field will be overjoyed that side of the schedule is complete.
Yeah, and for a couple of guys, especially in here, you see, like, again, Jordan Kalini and Andy Hurdle, guys coming out with podium and top 5 finishes. Last week, of course, they're going to be in the running for the AJ Foyt Cup here tonight, as we're obviously going to get into more detail of in just a little bit. But first, second, and third place all qualifying those positions and finished in those positions. Andy Hurdle rounding out the lead lap cars. It was essentially kind of like a replica of what we had back last season when Charlie Sears used this race to go on and officially clinch the Season 2 championship for the IndyCar Series. But of course, this time around, Andy Hurdle made sure that Sexton wasn't going to lap another car right there. Ended up being 4 cars instead of 3 on the lead lap. C.D. Mangrum rounding out the top 5. Good finish for him. Jose Mercado, Corbin McCauley in there as well. Of course, the car count hasn't been absolutely perfect as of recently, but of course, the quality over quantity motto is what we've been liking to use as of recently, at least from a professional perspective, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ones who've stuck it out through the course of the season, we always commend them and we always appreciate them for it. Now, we know extenuating circumstances can affect some folks, but those who are here, they've demonstrated the commitment and they're eager, I think, to finish off this season on a positive note overall.
Now we get into the championship points standings. Of course, Bradley Sexton has already clinched the title by quite the large margin there. Exactly that margin would be right now. Where is it? There it is, 186 points over Andy Hurdle, but it's now going to be coming down to 2nd through 4th place that are going to be in a battle for those 2 final podium positions there. That's Andy Hurdle, Jordan Kalinin, and Charlie Sears, a 3-car battle for 2 spots up there on the podium. Behind them, Corbin McCauley, C.D. Mangrum might have something going on there for 5th, but McCauley should be relatively all right for 5th. Actually, I should put in William Kernan there as well. He's just a couple points back of the number 1 car. But yeah, Sexton already has it clinched, but behind him, it's entirely far from over.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've been building toward realistically for the past month, because we've known how things were tracking in both of the other 2 championships. And yeah, now we're kind of looking at something where, yeah, you still have a little bit of an overall battle, but things have kind of settled down for the most part now that you start to see some guys kind of falling off by the wayside as well. The ones who are committed, they're, rising up the standings and should see themselves rewarded with maybe another position or 2 in some cases by the end of the evening.
Now, even though the Mario Andretti Cup, the Road and Street Course Championship, is already wrapped up, we might as well show off the final point standings there anyways. There are your gold, silver, and bronze trophies right beside the 3 drivers who wound up finishing top 3 in points. So obviously, congratulations to Bradley Sexton, Charlie Sears, and Andy Hurdle. I completely forgot to put 499 Racing beside in there instead of 519. It's proper on the other 2 are graphics, not this one, but
it feels weird though.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I did kind of argue to myself that maybe I should stick it to where it is right here, just because he started the season that way. But I feel like there could have been some tension if it was, either way. You kind of get where I'm going.
Just write it as 509 and average it out.
Yeah, there we go. That makes perfect sense.
That'll work.
But yeah, that's the final points there for the Road and Street Course Championship. Again, congrats to those top 3 right there, and then Sexton on winning the overall Mario Andretti Cup. But now, where it all comes down to here tonight, one more championship to decide. 11 points separating Sexton and Kalinian for first place, and the top 5 alone has a 31-point bubble, where quite frankly, any of these top 5, top 4-ish could mathematically have a shot to get the job done here tonight. Of course, right now we only have 12 cars ready to participate here in tonight's first annual Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing, but again, as I said, it's not like the Greg Moore Cup and the Mario Andretti Cup where Bradley Sexton was long gone. He obliterated the field, particularly in one of those championships for the entire season. I mean, again, 7 for 8 in the Mario Andretti Cup, but I completely forgot to transition to it. There we go. That's much better.
Yeah, these things happen. Luckily, I had it up on my other screen anyway, so I still knew what you were talking about. Yeah, like you were alluding to, still, everything to play for really, I'd even extend it to the top 5, quite honestly. Yeah, we'll confirm our numbers here at green flag time, and if necessary, we'll go over some of the points ramifications. But as you can see, and perhaps not necessarily a surprise, the 21 of Bradley Sexton still in the driver's seat, so to speak. But obviously, this path hasn't nearly been as easy as it has been on the other side. So still lots to play for everyone in the field. And yeah, like you said, or as we were kind of alluding to before, still, toward the top, there's nothing settled as of yet.
And there's still a lot of good battles going on the rest of the way as well, beyond the top 5, down below 10th place in there. And just to kind of get an idea of how far Bradley's come, at least on the oval side, since obviously there's been a lot of inconsistencies there, but also that Indianapolis 500 win, which was absolutely huge for him. I believe it was going in Indianapolis where he must have been like 7th or something in the points, and then there was after the Iowa doubleheader and after Auto Club that he suddenly jumped his way up to the Oval Championship points lead. I mean, in the overall points, he was 60 above going into Indianapolis, and then after the Iowa doubleheader, he was up by 153 points, so it's been a hell of a late surge as of recently, at least in the second half of this AJ Foyt Cup for the number 21 driver out of Fishers, Indiana, and just for some of the more big statistics as well, like for the overall points, like we've had 4 different winners in the last 4 races. Of course, Sexton's won 3 of the last 6. But then on the oval side of things, we are 7 for 7 with a different winner in every single oval race thus far. That is Andy Hurdle, William Kern, Stephen Ellis, Bradley Sexton, Jordan Kalinin, Corbin McCauley, and most recently at Auto Club, his first career win in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, Kyle Knoll for Storm Surge Esports. You hear all those names, and then you try to think of everybody else that still has yet to make their trip to Canadian E-Motorsports Network Victory Lane. How much potential do you think there is to make it 8 for 8 after hearing all those names, but also think about who still hasn't gotten a win yet on the oval side?
It's simple. There's lots of potential. I mean, we've seen the 1-lap pace of CD Mangrum over the course of the year and grabbing a couple of pole positions. Hasn't been able to translate that into a race victory as of yet. Actually, no, I do have that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a brain fog here. It's almost the holidays, folks.
I've had a couple myself tonight, so it's all good. Get them all out of the way in this season finale.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing here. It's not a mail it in Tuesday by any stretch, but I mean, that's a guy you look at. Charlie Sears is a guy you're looking at, defending series champion, to at least finish on a stronger note. Yeah, to see those 2 guys kind of on the outside looking in is a little bit strange. So maybe one of them pulls it out, but as cool as it would be, I have a gut feeling that it'll be one of the previous 7 who's able to take a second one. Whether it leads to a championship here tonight or not, that remains to be seen.
Well, if my calculations are correct based on who we do have here in the server right now, as qualifying has gotten underway again for the oval side of things, it's I believe 2 laps per driver. It's single car qualifying. They're all in their own little quote-unquote servers, or however you want to put it. But I believe, based on who's here, 5 of them one of those 5, I believe it is that I counted, would have to win in order to keep that different winner streak going.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody in the current top 5 or top 6, for that matter, would be eligible for that particular distinction. Anyone 7 through 10 in our current practice order might be having something to say about that, but nobody really knows what to expect with Nashville tonight. That's been kind of the beauty of setting it up this way, in that there's that little added wrinkle to the championship. No one really knows what to expect, how to set things up to kind of maximize performance. There's a lot to play for and a lot to figure out.
And now knowing this storyline of a different winner every single race too, now that I think about it, you hear all those names of guys that have won thus far. The fact that none of them have even been able to win multiple races because of all this parity and all the unpredictability of every single oval race, that alone too, shouldn't be overshadowed either.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, there's been, some extenuating circumstances in a number of cases. I mean, first couple oval races, they ended under caution, so didn't necessarily get the grandstand finish you would want. But, there's been plenty of, high level, respectful competition on this side of things over the course of the season as well. And we've seen that in the various pack battles. We've seen that, as guys have been battling on the track, there's, again, a lot to play for here, but, these guys are going to do it right. And, they'll want to go out with a bang. And, there's, like I said, still a championship up for grabs here tonight. So everything to focus on, everything to play for. And we'll see who ultimately emerges triumphant.
And certainly the 21 of Bradley Sexton is looking to end his season off plastered on practically everything. I mean, he's already got the Rookie of the Year clinched well ahead of Jordan Kalinian. That's almost 200 points or so ahead of him right there. Will Kern third place, and then followed by Bryce Fontaine. Jason Heaney in there after round 15 of 60. And then, of course, at this point, we don't even need to use this anymore.
I mean, I think we were probably there by Indy, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But, we're here now. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and I was going to say, too, about Sexton. He just said in our live chat, sweep is unlikely. Car plus track plus set equals bad.
Well, I mean, we'll see if he's underplaying it, although he didn't exactly underplay. I think back to Belle Isle and even last week at Laguna Seca. There was some confidence there, but this might be one where he just kind of has to hang around, honestly. Comes in with that 11-point buffer as it is.
So qualifying has just come to an end here. Literally none of these top names up here are no surprise whatsoever. There are some decent good names, though, that are starting there towards the back, of course. This race here tonight, Nashville Superspeedway, being our first time here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, certainly, again, it's going to be another one of those oval races where there's going to be a lot of unpredictability, but it all gets to an even higher level knowing that we haven't been here before, especially with this car that we transitioned to after last year with all the copyright issues and such, IndyCar versus iRacing, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that we were hearing, the drivers here tonight for what to potentially expect. Dirty air could be a factor. Of course, this track having a concrete surface is going to be very, very rough between track and weather conditions and also on the tire wear for these drivers as well. There's going to be a bunch of different factors here at play to really decide who's going to come out here and make some history, become the first winner of the first annual Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing here at Nashville Superspeedway. And haven't gotten word yet on how exactly we're going to introduce each and every one of the 12 drivers that are going to do battle here tonight. Jordy, you got anything else to say before we get things underway here shortly?
I think we've pretty well covered it. I think the fact that we're seeing a slightly lower track temperature, which we'll get into in a little bit, that could play into more competitive racing throughout the field. We'll have to see, because that was sort of the complaint from one of the Iowa races, and of course the Indy 500 as well, where it was just kind of overbearing at that point. But this is a lot more manageable. Again, the concrete surface could, well, it will certainly play a different role in tonight's proceedings as well, but we'll just have to see how everything plays out. I'm expecting a fairly competitive finish here tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed that out of all races, the season finale For the love of God, we can try and make it to the end. Under green.
Well, I was going to say we're making it to the end regardless.
Oh, under green. That's why I emphasize that there, because of course we don't have green, white checkers or all that with IndyCar. Of course, we like to at least try to be, realistic, like real life in many ways. As there you see on the screen now, we have all the cars, at least 11 of them lined up here on pit road. We're going to introduce each and every one of them in a moment or so. Okay, now we have all of them. And thus, for one final time, Jordy, let's introduce each and every one of them. Are you ready?
I mean, I'm here. Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty, for one final time in 2024, let's introduce the cars and stars of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network in the IndyCar Series who will do battle here tonight for each and every one of you watching here on our YouTube channel. Starting on the front row in the 00 car to Salisbury, North Carolina. He's got one win in the season, looking to add a second to end his season on a high note. His first in the IndyCar Series, that is Jordan Kalinian. Alongside him, looking to go 3 for 3 in championships and trying to go for his 9th win on the season, the driver of the number 21499 racing car to Fishers, Indiana, that is Bradley Sexton. Moving on now to row number 2, where we have the driver of the number 17 Macaulay racing car to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, also looking for his second win on the season. Could mathematically be eligible even for the AJ Foyt Cup if literally everything were to go his way tonight. That is Corbin Macaulay, and alongside him, yet again, another driver looking for their second win on the year. The driver of the number 7 519E racing car to Dayton, Ohio, looking for his first win since Texas early in the season. I believe that was the first race of the AJ Foyt Cup. That is Andy Hurdle.
Meanwhile, as we finish up the top 5, we've got a guy looking for the Side Launch Brewing double as William Kern out of Dansville, New York, took the Side Launch Brewing Company 250 back at Pocono back in October. That's his one win of the season. Again, he'll start this one in 5th or in his number 31 Hyperdrive eSports vehicle. And on his outside, starting 6th will be the number 9 first gear racing entry of Jason Heaney out of Altoona, Wisconsin, as we head to row 4, where we have our most recent oval winner, first win ever, as we mentioned earlier in the show, the number 15 Storm Surge eSports entry of Kyle Knoll out of Middlesex, North Carolina. And a guy that I mentioned during the pre-race as a little bit of a surprise to not have a win yet, the number 1 Tornado Alley racing entry of CD Mangrum out of the ATL Atlanta, Georgia. He starts 8th.
Row number 5 to round at the top 10, looking for his first win on the season, looking to end his campaign on a high note. The driver of the number 41 GTR Motorsports car to Kissimmee, Florida, that is Jose Mercado. And starting in 10th, your reigning IndyCar Series champion, not able to get a title out of this season, but certainly looking to end it off strong with a big victory here tonight. Nashville Superspeedway, the 32 is Charlie Sears for 499 Racing out of Charlottesville, Virginia. And your final row, a pair of drivers looking for their first win of the season. The driver of the number 12 car to Thunder Bay, Ontario, driven by Mike Marini. And the number 80 car for first gear racing out of Pefferlaw, Ontario, that is being driven by Mark Ouellette.
All right, enough talking here. Let's get them going.
So I'm going to quickly head into the iRacing voice chat here through Race Control, give these guys a quick message. Give a lot of gratitude, of course, for being able to come on out and put on a hell of a show every single Tuesday night. And let's try to put on one more here in our first time in Nashville Superspeedway. So stay tuned. In a couple of minutes, we will be back for the Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing. Oh, the beautiful sounds of those Dollar IR18s. They have been fired up here for one final time here in Season 3 of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. So here is a quick race analysis here for tonight. There's a couple of things in there that should not be on there, but we'll clarify that. Of course, race length is 103 laps, 134 miles in length, or exactly 139 or 133.9. Pit road speed is 45 miles per hour. The fuel window is around 53 to 56 laps. Drivers were saying about halfway through the race or so. Should be a one-stopper, but again, though, we've had other races in the past where certainly things had changed. There have been two stoppers. I think Laguna Seca actually did have a bit of that. Of course, there should only be one available tire compound, and push to pass does not exist on the ovals, so oh well. We have that information obviously clarified, of course, but now, iRacing pace car off for one final time in 2024. Let's go! IndyCar racing in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, first time at Nashville Superspeedway.
And, geez, Jordan Kalinian certainly obeyed that command, hasn't he? He's shot off like a rocket here.
And it was ironic because he kept saying time and time again here tonight in the iRacing voice chat that very tight setup, just couldn't get the car really turning very well, and yet, yeah, he's pretty well out front here thus far, leading the first lap of this Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing, ahead of Bradley Sexton and Corbin McCauley.
And notably, if we look at kind of quote-unquote live standings, with Kalinian having taken pole and leading a lap now, unofficially that gap is down to 9 points between Sexton and Kalinian at the top of the board. So still, like, there's not a whole lot of margin for our guys toward the head of the field to kind of slip up, because it looks like Kalinian's off to a solid start here so far.
Yeah, just over half a second ahead of the driver who's ahead of him in the AJ Foyt Cup point standings by 11 points, or I believe, yeah, that'd be probably 10 now.
Well, 9
Ish.
Technically, because Sexton
or 9
hasn't led a lap. Kalinian has.
Yeah, it's leading a lap and then it's leading one or more laps, something like that.
Leading
the most
laps
yes.
of anybody. And of course, pole position was an additional point for Kalinian as well.
But yes, Kalinian off to a hell of a run here thus far, even after complaining a little bit about the tightness here at the Nashville Superspeedway with the Dollar IR18. It's Hurdle in 4th, Kearns 5th, Knowles 6th, Magram 7th. We got Mercado and Heaney swapping positions there between 9th and 10th, coming to lap 6 of 103. And again, for being a 103 lapper here at Nashville Superspeedway, this one's going to probably go by pretty quick.
It certainly feels like it so far, and because we're looking at 23, 24, 25 second lap times, somewhere in that ballpark. So yeah, they will tick off fairly quickly here, it has to be said, which makes for an exciting evening for us, and a lot of kind of monitoring what's happening all around.
So looking at the current weather at the moment, track temperature is 32 degrees Celsius, humidity is over 70%.
Yeah, I mean, when you initially cut to the speedway after our preview, like, it wasn't just the potato vision that had the skies feeling or looking wavy, I don't think, because like you could sense that it was going to be a particularly humid race here. And we'll see who can withstand the heat the longest.
Jordan Kalinian has now led 8 laps here, as we're now on lap 9 of 103 in the Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing. Looking in his first season in the IndyCar Series on a high note, the reigning NASCAR Series Rookie of the Year out of Salisbury, North Carolina. Sexton following him behind now at almost a second and a half back. McCauley not too far behind there, half a second between him and Sexton, and between McCauley and Hurdle there for the 3rd position.
Yeah, and if it was to end this way, like, obviously we have a very, very long way to go, folks, but if it was to end this way, it would be enough for Jordan Kalinian to unseat Bradley Sexton as Macaulay makes little contact with the wall. So, like I said, those margins are getting tighter and tighter. And so Jordan Kalinian, he'll just want to kind of run away from everybody. And if he does, that could get him some hardware here tonight.
A pair of oval race winners this season going at it for the 5th position. That's Kern. He won back at Pocono versus Kyle Knoll, your most recent AJ Foyt Cup winner back at Auto Club. Again, his first career win in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. A couple of guys there looking to end their season strong. Kern was not with us back at Laguna Seca last Tuesday, so great to see him back here for the overall season finale. Knoll looked like he may have gotten just a little bit tight there. Close quarters to the left side of Kern. He pulls him back behind him.
Yeah, everybody safe there. And, it wasn't, out of the realm of possibility a couple of weeks ago that we could have been talking about Will Kern as a 2-time race winner, because he, much like Kyle Knoll, he also attempted the one green flag stop after the caution at Auto Club just couldn't quite save enough fuel to make it stick the way the 15 did. But Will Kern, he was down there right up until the final laps. Very capable.
So as these two continue to duke it out here for that final top 5 position, Jordan Kalinian almost 2 seconds ahead now of the 21.
And I mean, 2 seconds over, again, a 24 to 25 second lap. That's actually semi-comfortable, quite honestly. Like, by comparison, again, it's not your runaway like we've seen Bradley Sexton on insert road course here, but on that kind of comparative wavelength, yeah, Jordan Kalinian off to a fantastic start, doing exactly what he's needed to do in order to position himself in the best possible way to potentially steal the AJ Foyt Cup here.
Now we're replicating real life here with this Music City Championship race, as it was also in real life the season finale for the IndyCar Series. The track Nashville Superspeedway itself opened in 2001. It got abandoned in 2011 as attendance counts were getting a little bit low, particularly on the NASCAR side. IndyCar race there from 2001 to 2008, and then the 1 year it came back in 2024, it decided to return to contest the overall season championship finale.
Yeah, not a bad way to make a returning statement there.
Riding on board the number 15 of Kyle Knoll as he continues to battle it out with William Kern. Storm Surge Esports versus Hyperdrive. CD Magram starting to approach them now as these two continue to go at it. It's causing Magram to start to catch up.
Yeah, and we were wondering, what the what kind of variables would go into play to produce, what kind of racing. It seems like Kern and Knoll are able to race fairly close. Ooh. I guess if Magram catches up, would that constitute a pack at that point of 3? And maybe that's where we start to see what things will look like in a more competitive setting if we're able to get to that. Or conversely, will the dirty air get to CD Magram first and kind of keep him away from those two?
As you were talking about all that, Knoll brushed the outside wall going into turn 1. Looks to be all good now as we are paying attention now to the battle back for 8th place between Jose Mercado and your 2023 IndyCar Series champion, Charlie Sears.
Yeah, and again, it's been weird seeing Sears not atop the podium on the oval side of things, but just hasn't quite gotten it together on the Foyt Cup perspective. But he's going to keep battling. That's the way he's always been. I mean, he's after tonight he'll no longer be the defending champion, but he's a past champion for a reason. And we'll see if he's able to make a move here eventually, or whether or not, just might be the conditions kind of preventing him from making the impact that he would have wanted.
And again, attendance wasn't absolutely perfect. Some things definitely got in his way, preventing him from being able to go at this fully. Again, he was right up there with his teammate Bradley Sexton. You remember how many times it was those two going at it on the Mario Andretti Cup side of things, their own street course battles between those two for many consecutive races.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's no question. Like, nobody's saying anything about, Charlie Sears from a talent side of things. We know what's there. We know what he's capable of. Just the results haven't necessarily translated on this side. And as you rightfully pointed out, there are reasons for that in some cases, as we see Noel making a move here on Kern, trying to make it stick. But we'll see what kind of a run the 31 gets on the high side.
Yeah, Kern's been able to hold on to an advantage there with that middle of the high line, especially on corner exits. Noel tried to use a little bit of it right there in behind, taking advantage of that slipstream down the backstretch every single lap. Just trying to find a way to clear him. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see if he's got it this time, and we'll see. Yeah, interesting. Neither of these guys following Jordan Kalinian's lead, as I don't know if Noel meant to go quite that high. But yeah, the point I was going to make on Kalinian, it looks like he's the only guy coming across the start-finish line. He takes it super low, like down through the apron, where it seems like everyone else stays on the track surface. So I wonder if that is, that has to be helping Kalinian from a time perspective. You would think a straighter line would produce a better result there. So we'll have to see if, that is a performance boost for the 00.
Meanwhile, in our live chat, we have Mark Flott once again cheering on CD Magram, currently in 7th place. Just kind of watching the 31, the 15 go at it, and essentially kind of in the catbird seat, just waiting to get within the mix, take advantage of the both of them, and misfortune were to occur with the 31 and the 15. We also have our very own Bryce Fontaine cheering on teammate William Kern, trying to hang on to that top 5 position.
Yeah, I mean, this is, easily the best battle we're seeing on the track right now. And, it's good to see a little bit of wheel-to-wheel combat here as they're coming through the turn. It looks like Kern's going to, again, hold on with that higher line. Just getting a better exit out of 4.
Yeah, some multi-groove racing out of these guys. Like turns 1 and 2, you see Kern all the way down towards the bottom, and then Noel the other way, and then they did the complete opposite of what I just said there. He turns 3 and 4 as Noel trying to look up high now, trying to find an opening to the high side of the 31.
But I mean, this is again all benefiting the guy we were just on board with in CD Magram, as he's gonna be on their gearbox here within a couple laps. So this is gonna be 4 through 6 or 5 through 7, excuse me, battling here relatively shortly, I would have to think.
Noel couldn't get it done on the inside, but he eventually found a way to do it up high, found that opening. Took a little bit of patience, but again, patience is key here, especially for a track like Nashville Superspeedway with the concrete surface and how harsh it can be against tire wear no matter what car you're in, especially in the Dallara IR18. Jordan Kalinian now 3 seconds ahead, over 3 seconds ahead of the driver. He's looking to overtake in the AJ Foyt Cup standings, 11 points back going into tonight's race, but you said now about 9 or 10 points potentially.
Yeah, it would still be 9 right now as we've hit the kind of 1/3 mark here tonight. If Kalinian was to lead another, where are we, 35 or 36?
Lap 35 coming to 36.
Okay, so another 16 to 17 laps would clinch him the bonus point for most laps led, regardless of what anybody else does, if he gets to 52 or 53 led. So that gets him that 1 point closer if he's able to hold on to that. Now, we'll have to see if Bradley Sexton's able to put together some kind of a response to Kalinian, because this is almost looking as clinical as, you know, we would see the 21 be on road courses. Is that our first retirement of the night?
Something might just happen. Maybe. Okay, so Mike Marini, that's the number 12 car, making his way to pit road. And then might have just called it quits, plain and simple.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't really see anything out of the ordinary leading up to that. Did you?
No, if something happened to him, it would have been far more back. But again, he started there towards the back. He exactly qualified in 11th. Then went to pit road and now looks to be done with that question mark beside his name on our live timing and scoring. So again, just kind of stuck towards the back there. Didn't seem like he had a whole lot of speed to really contest with everybody else. Again, you see this kind of racing product with everybody here tonight. A lot of separation between these guys. There are those 1 or 2 battles every now and then. Go figure, what we're on right now is a battle between C.D. Mangrum and Jose Mercado for 7th, as Nolan Kerna start to separate themselves by exactly over a second now.
Yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily battling. Yeah, they're not battling either. So Mangrum, instead of getting up into that battle, like you said, kind of finds himself defending now instead. So maybe not quite how he drew that one up after getting so close to the gearboxes of Kern and Knoll, but you know, he's still got to work to maintain the position he's got. And if we know anything about Jose Mercado over the years, he is going to mount a challenge in some form.
Yeah, we'll see if any of these guys are going to have a long run game in particular. As Mangrum just brushed the outside wall a little bit there with his right side tires by the looks of it, went down to the apron, back up. Normal as if nothing had happened. What I was eventually going to say was lap since last pit, everybody except for Mark now is at, because Ouellette's a lap down now. Everybody on the lead lap, approaching 43 laps since their last pit, of course, are about 10 to 12 laps away-ish from that halfway fuel window.
Which again,
Kern's in trouble. Turn 1, he's around. We stay green.
We do indeed. I wonder. I was about to say this is because he was off the racing line, but I thought previously if anything happened in pit lane or on the exit of it, as was the case here, I thought that triggered a yellow, but maybe not in this case.
So going down the front stretch, and then, yeah, just kind of lost it in between where the surface is, then the apron, that yellow line. His car was like right in the middle of that, and then it just looped.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look like it took much, did it? As we'll get another look. Yeah, just a little touch, and around he goes. Actually,
I think it was more so the left side tires just kind of clipped the yellow line there, and then the car just looped.
Again, which is strange to see that in comparison to, again, Jordan Kalinian really kind of almost treating that apron like it's gospel coming across the start-finish line. He's able to handle it just fine. Not sure what exactly happened with the 31 there. We just know the end result.
So that drops him back to 10th, a lap down, joining Mark Ouellette. 9 cars now left on the lead lap, and Kern, one of those guys up there challenging for the AJ Foyt Cup, at least mathematically speaking, but after what just happened there, that's certainly going to drop him out of contention, at least for now. Again, you never know if something might shake things up here. In the later stages of this race, again, we've been talking about in every single oval race, there is that unpredictability. Like, could this be a race where the first half we're seeing kind of this just trying to get to the end, and maybe something happens towards the second half and shakes things up, and suddenly we get some closer racing? Who knows?
It could. It's certainly, we don't have anything to necessarily suggest that so far, although in saying that, we could have a nice little battle shaping up for third here. Macaulay and Hurdle on track according to the time, less than a second between those two, probably the closest we'll see on the track at the moment.
Yeah, aside from Magram Mercado, still kind of going at it. Magram has pulled ahead just a little bit.
Yeah, able to save it after the near mishap from a little bit earlier.
So Jordan Kalinian now at lap 51 of 103. So essentially right there, halfway.
Pretty much. Well, he'll complete 51 this time around, on to 52. Once he completes 52, that's where he'll lock in that other bonus point for laps, or most laps led of anyone. No one will be able to touch him after that.
I think that might be your first taker here of this midway fuel window, Andy Hurdle.
And slightly early. I think we were expecting 53 to 56, so maybe 1 or 2 laps earlier than expected, but we'll have to see if the strategy play here from the 7 is going to do anything. Although in saying that, that's our leader in pit lane now.
Kyle Knoll and CD Magram also making their way down, but yeah, I was kind of in the mix between 52 to 55, 53 to 56, but kind of really the whole idea with all these fuel windows is that you'll have your guys that'll come in maybe a lap or 2 or 3 or so early. You'll have your early goers, you'll have your late guys. Again, it's just all about strategy, and again, a lap or 2 with tire wear, especially at this track, could make a difference too.
Well, you want to talk a lap or 2 making a difference. Quite notably, Bradley Sexton led the last lap, so that gets him a point to nullify one of Kalinian's bonus points. So the live gap is back up to 10. We'll see if things kind of cycle through the field where Kalinian will ultimately rejoin after Sexton pits. But yeah, we'll have to see how that works out, because we could, in theory, be, if it's 10 points right now, potential to have a tie at the end, but we'll have to see.
Now, my question is, how would that be solved?
I think you'd have to go Kalinian in that form on the base. Well, oval specific, I would think Kalinian on the basis of the additional victory. But I'm not 100% sure. That's a fantastic question.
Yeah, you have to figure out a bit of maybe a loophole there as Jose Mercado heads to pit road after having the lead there for a little bit. When it comes to the overall points, then again, it's kind of like how many more. I would imagine it's how many more wins you have. Like Bradley Sexton, of course, if there was a tiebreaker there, then he would easily kind of take that. But now on this oval side of things, yeah, again. See, that's kind of the storyline. Different winners in every race. We could now be coming down to this point where you remember I said earlier, like don't try to overshadow the fact that all those guys that have already won a race, all these different winners, still have yet to pick up that second win. That right there could be that big factor to solving this championship, for crying out loud.
100%, as it looks like we're gonna see Kalinian cycle back out to the lead with Charlie Sears coming into pit lane now, which at that point would, clinch Kalinian that most laps led bonus point. So the gap would be back down to 9. if it ended with Kalinian first, Sexton second, let me just pull up the points. Kalinian would win by 1 point. So everything to play for.
Looks like officially out of the race, joining Mike Marini is the 31 of William Kern. So take one of the top names out of the running for the AJ Foyt Cup right there. Unfortunately, a solid campaign for him. Got the big win, first career Canadian E-Motorsports Network victory back at Pocono Raceway. Was leading the points even at one point. I think it was going into Indianapolis and I believe Iowa as well. One of those is for sure. Might be both of them. And then just kind of things from there just didn't really go his way. And of course, especially here tonight, not going his way.
Yeah, it definitely didn't click in the second half of the season, unfortunately, for the 31. And again, it's kind of a game of inches or millimeters. And we saw just how tight he was running toward that inside and ultimately just a bridge too far, it would appear, in that case. And yeah, it wound up being the beginning of the end here for the 31. But nonetheless, again, as you mentioned, first win in the series in any form. He's a guy who's proven to be fast in multiple conditions. Is this a second pit stop?
Charlie Sears back to pit road.
Yeah, so this is, he may have, he alluded to this possibility earlier.
Oh,
so,
yeah, yes.
Yeah, without getting into too many details, we heard that this might be coming. So I would not be surprised if this winds up being our third retirement of the evening.
And it is.
Yeah, so, yeah, now we turn our focus back to the track and, just maintain our focus there for the final 37 to 38 laps of this season.
Yes, obviously, something personal going on there. We will not get into the details into that respect, but of course, obviously, hope everything is all good on the end of number 32 of Charlie Sears. But yes, right back to the racetrack here on lap 66 of 103. Again, just putting on a clinic, essentially probably Sexton road course style, but now it's oval style here with the 00. Again, we flash back to the success he had in his first season, the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, back in Season 5 earlier this year for the NASCAR Series, also powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. Certainly looking to end 2024 off with another championship. Of course, it's not going to be the overall points championship, but nonetheless, it's still some sort of a title, and it's going to come on a familiar circuit, a familiar form of circuits.
Yes, no kidding. And we'll have to see if he's able to hang on. No reason to suggest that he can't right now because he, pitted in a very comfortable window in relation to everybody else. In fact, I think he was second or third down pit lane, if I recall correctly. So it seems like, he's got a handle on it right now. 4.5 seconds up on second place, Bradley Sexton. But, you still got to make it to the end. Not over until you see the checkered flag by any stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely. This is not exactly like Michigan in any way. Like, it's not that, that good old pack racing, consistent 2 and 3 wide. Not really a whole lot going on for those first 70 or 80 laps. And then, of course, everything starts to kind of fall apart from there with all the incidents and the cautions. And thank goodness a green flag ending with an incredible 499 racing photo finish. I don't know. Could this be kind of a similar to that, except this time around, it's its own form, It
absolutely is. But right now, things are looking fairly academic, but we'll have to see. Obviously a smaller field means not as much lap traffic to navigate either. So Not as many variables, not as many elements of danger potentially. And yeah, we'll just have to see how Jordan Kalanian's able to navigate this.
You say elements of danger. I think for all the 499 guys, there could be one guy that they're familiar with in particular that they could put into that category as a joke.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're not here, you can't defend yourself. So, just go for it. Speaking of going for it, that gap is coming down. Like, it's down probably a second in relation to where it was about a lap or two ago, as Bradley Sexton might be trying to mount a bit of a charge here.
Now, yes, to be fair, if we look at the laps since last pit, Kalanian pitted 21 laps ago, Sexton 17, so there could be a bit of there could be a tire wear thing there. There could be.
Yeah, 4 laps doesn't seem like it should be, that much of an effect, especially at a relatively lower track temperature. Not 100% sure what it is because for some reason my timing isn't working as yours would be. But what I do know is, that gap seems to be closing a little bit, so we could yet be in for something.
Yeah, as you're talking about that with live timing and scoring, it looks as though it just ran. It did run into some issues, so hopefully it might be back up now. But yeah, obviously 4 laps might not be that big of a difference. But again, you never know. Again, I am seeing that with the gap too. It's actually down to 3.2, 3.1-ish.
Yeah.
There's definitely something noticeable there as Sexton got loose off the corner there. Very noticeable with the right rear tire.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it did anything to that gap. Honestly, it's still in that 3.1 to 3.2 range. So we could yet be in for a fight.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if there's going to be enough time for Sexton to catch up. And again, if we do end up somehow get a late caution, then all bets are off from there.
Oh, for sure it is. I mean, the way things are going right now, it feels like the overall performance of Jordan Kalanian might win out, but under the pressure, under the lights, knowing that there's still something at stake, maybe that's the variable nobody's talking about right now. So we'll have to see, how, again, these next 24 to 25 laps unfold. Because that gap now starts with a 2 instead of a 3.
This could be a surge for the ages that we might be seeing here at the Fishers Indiana driver for 499 Racing. Again, 3 for 3 is in his mind. He knows that he could create history here tonight once again within the Canadian E-Motorsports Network and the IndyCar Series. Just if he were to catch up just in time before that white flag and obviously the checkered flag, what a storyline that would be to wrap up this 3rd season of IndyCar racing and to wrap up this year as a whole for the Canadian E-Motorsports Network.
Yeah, I mean, unquestionably there's, at least a couple laps ago, there was a bit of a push happening as, we're down into 2.7 territory now, so gradually chipping away here. So Jordan Kalanian, as comfortable as he might have been in the first stint, maybe don't fully take your foot off the gas just yet.
And since we never know if we could potentially have something brewing here, brewing, that'll be ironic with what I'm about to say here in just a couple of seconds. But of course, before we have some potentially brewing here within these final couple laps of the Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing, we'd like to, for one final time here in 2024, thank each and every one of the sponsors and partners that help support us every single Tuesday night. Of course, without all of them, we wouldn't be able to be doing this. Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue for being the title sponsor of both the NASCAR and the IndyCar Series. Rampage Coffee Co, Pipe and Kettle Soup, Forked River Brewing Company, Bangarang Hard Seltzer, Nordic Aluminum, GSGSG Vinyl 3D, GTR, Side Launch Brewing, obviously sponsoring this race, and of course, man oh man, have our live broadcasts advanced here on our YouTube channel ever since we transitioned to the iRacing platform. TrackHams22.com coming along board with us to give us an outstanding, professional-looking live broadcasts and these angles that you see every single Tuesday night on the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. Thanks to them and everybody else involved in helping us put on this show every single Tuesday night. Sexton was around the 1.7, 1.8-ish areas there in the gaps, but now suddenly it's back to 2.2, almost 2.3.
Yeah, it looked like he had a bad exit out of turn 2 on the previous lap. Not quite at the lap traffic at that point, but felt like a little bit of a snap of something happened. But yeah, the way you were talking about TrackHams22.com, I feel like we might still be putting those cameras to the test in the form of a photo finish. Stay tuned.
So you can barely see Sexton back there in the background coming off of turn 4 as Kalinian hits the start-finish line. Now 16 laps to go as Kalinian may have just brushed the outside wall there.
Like I said, nothing is, to be taken for granted here. Yeah, you still want to push, but at the same time, not to the point where it's going to be detrimental to your race and also your championship opportunities. So we will see. It looks like Kalinian's gotten away with that, though, as the gap's still around 2.1. Granted, Kalinian is coming up on the back of Jason Heaney here as well, so maybe a little bit of dirty air coming into play.
Yeah, until I was going to say there's free real estate between the 00 and the 21 up until Kalinian has to get past Jason Heaney to put him a lap down. That would make it 7 cars left on the lead lap. But Kalinian will be coming to 13 laps to go in the Greg Moore Cup, the AJ Foyt Cup, and Season 3 of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series. Only that much time remaining for Bradley Sexton to catch up and possibly conclude a surge for the ages here for the AJ Foyt Cup.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if the gap, or Kalinian doesn't seem like he's able to get right to the back of Heaney to put him that lap down right now. So that's going to allow Sexton to creep up that little bit closer here. As, yeah, that gap is very much in the 1.8, 1.7 range
6.
here now.
It got to 6 just a tad bit.
Yeah, it did.
Coming to 11 laps to go. This is far from over. This is for one of the 3 championships here for the Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series Season 3. There's one driver looking to prevent Bradley Sexton from a full championship sweep. And then, of course, that driver he's trying to prevent it from wants to go 3 for 3 and plaster his name on every single title trophy that there is to offer here in Season 3.
And he is going to just put his head down and absolutely go for it here. Well, Bradley Sexton, if he senses an opportunity, he's going to do whatever he can to make it happen. But, Jordan Kalinian's been the class of the field tonight. We're about to see him get put under pressure here potentially, as we're now into single-digit laps remaining, or at least we will be in a second.
Make it 9 laps to go now in the season and the Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing. Jordan Kalinian has led nearly every lap here in this first annual running of this race. Definitely hasn't been the most fully eventful race of all time, but definitely you never know if something could brew here. Side Launch Brewing here in these next couple of laps. It's not looking like it's going to be fully enough for the 21, but you never know if the 00 might have a screw up, or if we were to get a caution within like the next lap or two, then you never know.
Yeah, it would have to happen pretty much now in order to, not have the race end under caution, or at least the next lap or two. But yeah, if you're Jordan Kalinian, you've gotten here on pure pace. You just keep your head down. I don't think you necessarily worry about trying to get that separation in the form of getting by Heaney. You just keep it safe, keep it planted, and just stay as consistent as you've been all night. And I think that is the path right now for the 00 to head to the top of the board and take the AJ Foyt Cup.
1.7, 1.6-ish. It's right. It's kind of going back and forth right there. The gap between these two, and I was ironic. I was talking about the potential for the caution here. I mean, again, the yellow flag would essentially end this race at this point. But again, it would be quite awkward if the 00 was the cause of the caution.
Yeah, he doesn't want this one to turn into Smashville as we get into the triple digits just about in terms of our lap count. Again, I think Kalinian over the next 4 miles, he just, like I said, just has to keep his head down, worry about his own race, don't worry about anything that's happening behind him. 1.5 seconds over the course of 3 laps, that's a lot to make up. Sexton did earlier, but I wonder if Kalinian had something in reserve just for this occasion.
Andy Hurdle to pit road.
That'll open up some eyes because Kalinian pitted on the very next lap after Andy Hurdle. So, I wonder if Kalinian, well, I would think Kalinian will be able to hang on. Who knows what's going on with Andy Hurdle, but I think just keep the focus on track.
As he's coming to the white flag here, Jordy, got any final words here?
I mean, I think we've pretty well explained it as clearly as we can. I think for Jordan Kalinian, you see that gap back up to 1.7 there briefly, 1.6, 1.5s. I think it's just a matter with his experience. You just keep your head down and get the job done as that white flag's out.
It was a bit of an up and down start for this driver at Seltzer, North Carolina, but really consistency in the later stages of this AJ Foyt Cup has gotten him to this point. Rounding out the final corner, the Music City Championship race, and the AJ Foyt Cup will go to Jordan Kalinian at Nashville Superspeedway.
Man, oh man, just getting that. Like, this was the scenario that Jordan Kalinian needed. The 1-2, like, again, it looks like it'll be a 1, maybe 2-point win in the end for Jordan Kalinian. Bradley Sexton kind of handicapped this in the YouTube chat, saying the sweep was unlikely, but damn, did he push as hard as he could. But this is the moment for Jordan Kalinian. He gets his first full taste of hardware here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network.
Unfortunately, it was not the NASCAR Series Championship. He was able to come out of it with the Rookie of the Year award. But man, oh man, coming into the IndyCar Series, obviously a different car, different product overall. He still wanted to prove himself and add some hardware, some important hardware, to his trophy cabinet here within the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. And while it may have not been the overall championship, not the Mario Andretti Cup, still, it's a championship within what he is most familiar with, and that is the ovals. And thus, by just a point or two, whatever it may end up being officially, Jordan Kalinian out of Salisbury, North Carolina, will get the job done. He put on a clinic here tonight, and as you said, Jordy, still a hell of an effort from Bradley Sexton to try and put a little bit of pressure on the 00, but it just wasn't enough. Over a second and a half back of the 00, that's short of going 3 for 3 in Season 3 of the IndyCar Series.
And looking at the overall picture, Jordan Kalinian was a guy who very much admitted to not necessarily being comfortable with this model of car in the iRacing side of things at the beginning of the year. And you saw the results kind of bear themselves out at the beginning, but as he got more comfortable, as he got a little more acclimated with everything, you saw just the pure talent he has behind the wheel. It's kind of rose to the occasion, and the fact that it's come up again when it's mattered the most on the ovals, kudos to the 00 and, you know, a very deserving AJ Foyt Cup champion.
And so before we talk to the champion himself and the winner of the first annual Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing here at Nashville Superspeedway, let's go through the unofficial results. Obviously starting off with a 00, Jordan Kalinian, his second win of the season, second win on the AJ Foyt Cup. Bradley Sexton, Corbin McCauley rounding out the podium. Strong finishes to each of their campaigns. McCauley not able to go for that second win, but still nonetheless able to make a bit of a comeback effort in the overall points and the oval points as well. Of course, big Iowa doubleheader performance, getting the win in twin number 2 and being in the running for the win in race number 1. Fell short to the guy who won here tonight. Jose Mercado, Kyle Knoll rounding out the top 5. Great endings to each of their seasons. Knoll ends off the season with a top 5 and, of course, that win back at Auto Club. C.D. Mangrum 6th, Jason Heaney rounding out the lead lap cars in 7th, Andy Hurdle 8th, Mark Roulette 9th, Charlie Sears rounding out the top 10, and also him being one of the 3 cars to officially DNF out of the Season 3 IndyCar Series season finale here at Nashville Superspeedway. And again, I'd love to try and keep up this streak of both of us being able to talk to the winner and, of course, champion as well.
I mean, go for it. We may as well. It's a celebratory occasion.
Andy Hurdle makes a good point in that behind-the-scenes chat.
Have I seen that?
Maybe give it a look and you'll understand.
I don't know if I don't know if I can see what you're talking about.
It would be in the IndyCar Series chat.
Oh, the joke, or was there something else?
Yeah, the Andy Hurdle joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's... Well, I mean, we still had a championship to commentate on, so I don't think it was necessarily dead air. We had a narrative, at least.
Just trying to figure things out here to see if the driver of the 00 car can join the both of us. Of course, again, we've been able to talk to Kyle Knoll and Bradley Sexton the last 2 Tuesdays in our little control room, so trying to keep that streak up. Make sure we end the season again strong.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't see it, no big deal.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think it'd make the most sense to maybe communicate with him in iRacing. That's probably where he's waiting right now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys certainly did that enough in the NASCAR side of things, so maybe that's the expectation set.
Jordan, you got a copy there? You still in iRacing?
I got you, Regan.
Would you by any chance be able to look through your Facebook messages and perhaps get a chance to not only talk to me, but also Jordy as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it sounds like there will be an effort made. Finally, there's an angle where I don't have to look at the car through the fence.
Thank you, TrackGams22.com.
You keep on trying, and eventually you'll catch that that one camera angle that you need.
Well, thankfully, our friends at TrackGams22.com have lots of options.
Exactly. And tragically, we won't be using them until, who knows, April.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing we should remind folks. Like, we're taking a little break after this.
We will still have a couple of fun races inside for some of our guys within the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. Obviously, we're trying to take a bit of a break from some official series and awarding championships and all that. Of course, us broadcasters have been going at this for a ton of Tuesdays here in 2024, and quite frankly, ever since I first came along, and then you obviously have been doing this for ever since the network first began, so obviously we definitely need our breaks to calm down our voices and be able to get us back and reset fresh and ready to go, hopefully, once again in 2025 when we try to go for a third season of NASCAR iRacing.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be good to just kind of hit the reset button on everything. I know there's been a lot kind of happening over the last few months on a lot of fronts. So, yeah, the fact that, not only are we able to enjoy the holiday season here, which we hope our, still 11 remaining viewers do as well. It's good to just kind of get away from it for a little bit, and we'll be able to come back fresh and bring some of that passion and enthusiasm back that kind of made or makes this network what it is.
Of course, nothing could be more true than everything you just said there, Jordy. Obviously, it's been a hell of a run here, hell of a season here on the IndyCar side of things. Bradley Sexton walking away with 2 championships, Jordan Kalinian with 1, and putting on a bit of a kind of a Bradley Sexton clinic here at Nashville Superspeedway, I guess, even though more of an oval version per se. But speaking of the driver of the 00 to Salisbury, North Carolina, it looks like we may have his presence here in the control room. So, Jordan, do you have a copy from us?
I've got you, Regan. You got me?
Hey!
Yeah, Jordy has. Yeah, there you go. Jordan, ending the season off on quite the high note. Your second win here of season 3, yet again on an oval. A hell of a second half here on the AJ Foyt Cup side of things, and it wounds up with you putting on a hell of a clinic in our first time here at Nashville Superspeedway, clinching you the AJ Foyt Cup by, again, what is it, a point or 2?
1 or 2 points, yeah.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to come in here and win that cup. It's really close on the NASCAR side. Came up 1 position short there, so it's really cool to be able to come in here and win it by just 1 position.
Yeah, that's certainly one way to kind of avenge falling short by just 1 position back in the recent season on the NASCAR side of things, with you and Corbin McCauley going at it for essentially week after week after week. And now here on the IndyCar side, would you say whenever things got started, at least on the oval side, was this something that you had kind of, in your vision? Was this something that you were hoping to get done? Was it realistic in your eyes? Like, how does this compare to where you were at the start of the season?
I really didn't, to start the season, I really didn't think I had a good shot at it at all. There were quite a few guys in here who had plenty of IndyCar experience, and I had none. So just being able to work my way through the races and start to learn how the car reacts. And especially once we got to these less pack racing style races, the NASCAR style stuff really kind of helped out there, and started seeing a shot with a couple races to go and was able to make it happen.
And being able to, kind of steal the championship outright in a way over the guy who was trying to go 3 for 3 in championships, trying to go for 9 wins on the season. Again, going 3 for 3, that's one hell of an accomplishment to try and go for, but you were the one to come in and deny him of that. So just being able to deny such a big name like that, and other guys, like Andy Hurdle in there, Corbin McCauley as well, that must certainly feel good as well.
Yeah, obviously Brad's got a lot of experience in these things, so being able to best him at anything in this is really cool.
Jordy, do you have anything for Jordan Kalinian?
I absolutely do, since this is, again, the first time I'll be able to chat with a new voice. Again, first off, congratulations on taking the AJ Foyt Cup. So let's go back to something you were just alluding to, the fact that you didn't really have any experience on the IndyCar side of things prior to coming into this series for this season. So maybe take the viewers through that kind of progression that you had in terms of getting up to speed with the car, for lack of a better term, because again, we definitely saw the results progress over the course of the season. Was there sort of an aha moment in terms of getting fully comfortable and confident with this particular IR18?
There wasn't one moment in particular. The car, it drives kind of similar to the next gen car for the NASCAR stuff. At the oval tracks, at least, big difference that you're going a lot faster. Everything happens quicker. The cars are a lot twitchier. The dirty air affects the car a whole lot more. During this race, you're about a second and a half back, and you just can't get through the dirty air. So not really having as much to be able to change up the line as you do with the NASCAR stuff. So just kind of getting used to all of that, being able to put it all together. Sitting on pole helps that out a lot. So just kind of learning all the little bits there and putting them all together at the last half of the season, was finally able to make it happen.
Yeah, you certainly did. And again, this is definitely the high point from a performance perspective. So kind of take me through a little bit of what worked for you here tonight. It seemed like, you were sort of an outlier in terms of some of the lines that you were taking, in particular on the start finish straight. It seemed like you were making far more use of that apron coming through that section compared to the rest of the drivers who were just staying on the main racing surface. What did that do for the kind of overall handling and feel of the car for you? And, what kind of, I guess, tangible effect in terms of time and speed did that ultimately give you?
Yeah, being out front, you don't have the benefit of having a draft at all. So being able to cut the front stretch like that kind of feel like it negated the draft they were getting off of me. But a lot of the guys in practice were having problems hitting the apron, and it was messing up the car. And for whatever reason, that it just never had any effect on my car. So I was able to do that. It kind of just balanced out that drafting.
Yeah, and again, obviously we saw how it worked out, but obviously nothing was certain until the very end, especially as Bradley Sexton started to chip away at that lead that you had, which was about 4.5 to 5 seconds, ultimately around 1.6, 1.7 once you took the checkered flag. So as you would kind of sense him getting closer, and obviously as you would have been working through traffic, what was kind of the biggest key for you to be able to keep your head down and make sure you got the job done?
Being able to manage having that big of a lead, being able to manage and watch him getting closer, and just be able to time my runs. I came out of the pits and had Jason in front of me, and the dirty air there, it took me a couple laps to get used to that, and I just couldn't get any closer to Jason. So that kept allowing Brad to get closer and closer until I think eventually he ran into the same problem with the dirty air coming off of my car. So just being able to manage the gap and not make any mistakes, keep into my lines, I think it ultimately let me get away with it.
Absolutely, it did. And again, it brings you some hardware down there to Salisbury, North Carolina. And with that, I will send things back over to Regan. And again, well done on clinching the AJ Foyt Cup here tonight in the final round of the season.
Thank you, Jordy.
Appreciate that much, Jordy. Once again, obviously, Jordan, back to me to kind of wrap all this up, to look back on how this year has been ever since you first entered the Canadian Motorsports Network. A very successful first NASCAR Series season, a bunch of wins, second in overall championship points, now here in the IndyCar Series. Very solid runnings of the Dallara IR 18. You're able to come out, obviously, with the AJ Foyt Cup and 2 wins on the year. Just when you look back to when you first entered the network, how does it feel, to have come so far here, especially in your first year in the network?
It's really cool, but just being able to get to know all the guys and how welcoming they are, and just being able to come out here on Tuesday nights and have fun. It's been a blast.
And what are some of the memories that come up to you? Some of those good times in particular that come to your mind when you look back on how good the year was for you overall?
Yeah, just the learning experience, being able to learn something new that I haven't really done on iRacing, and ultimately get to the point where I made some pretty good accomplishments. It's been fun to see my success and how I came up through it.
Now, assuming the Canadian Motorsports Network gets right back to full-time, awarding championships and having these official series and such, NASCAR Series likely back in April, shall we expect you back for some more NASCAR and IndyCar action, assuming that we are back in 2025?
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
Awesome to hear. And to really wrap this all up, who'd you like to, for one final time here in 2024, give a shout out to just who's been able to help you come on out every single Tuesday night to go and get the job done?
Just appreciate the league, the sponsors, and all the guys for coming out and racing. It's been a blast this year.
Great to hear. That was the post-race winner interview with the driver of the 00 car to Salisbury, North Carolina, Jordan Kalinian, ending his season on a high note, putting on a clinic, leading a bunch of laps here tonight in the first annual Music City Championship race presented by Side Launch Brewing at Nashville Superspeedway. He comes out with his second win of the season and the Oval Championship, the AJ Foyt Cup, by just a point or two, again, whatever it is. Once again, Jordan, congratulations, and again, appreciate the commitment and the dedication you put in, and all the learning experiences that we were able to broadcast and commentate over the year. It was a pleasure to cover you here in your first year within the Canadian Motorsports Network, and hopefully we look forward to a great future with you continuing to put on some great shows with everybody else in 2025.
Thank you, Regan.
And so there it was, the interview with the 00 Jordan Kalinian, the final driver that we interview here in the year of 2024 for the Canadian Motorsports Network. Really, all I have left to say at this point is, Jordy, what a wild ride it's been.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both, if we're being honest with ourselves, we're probably both relieved that we've made it to this point. Obviously, there's been a lot of, like I said before, a lot of things going on here. But I mean, the biggest thing that's kind of stayed constant has been the commitment of, the drivers showing up every week, and just, everyone showing their support for network over the course of this year as we tried to, kind of push through some things. But, it also produced some, great nights, some great racing overall. And you know what? I think the overall crop of champions that we wound up with over the course of this year, you know what? Every bit of it was earned. So, hard to really argue with anything that went down. And you know what? I am very much looking forward to a recharge.
Absolutely. I'm sure we all are, especially myself. Now that 24 is done, obviously 2025, assuming that we get back to full-time competition about April, May, or whenever it may be, later on in 2025. Even though it is early, do you still have anything in particular, like looking back on 2024 and just how the transition to iRacing has been overall for the Canadian Motorsports Network? Is there anything in particular that you envision for 2025? Anything you want to see be improved upon? Anything you just essentially want to see things, keep going, keep progressing, try to, keep everybody going and recruit a couple more drivers? What comes to your mind for potential improvements? What to keep going? What comes to mind?
So I think recruitment would be hitting the nail on the head for kind of the biggest point. In terms of, anything kind of technical, I think we're probably still too close to everything right now. Matter of fact, we're still mid-broadcast discussing this. I think it's the kind of thing that's, take a little bit of time away from it, reconvene in the new year, honestly. And, as guys are getting back into the swing of things with the off-season special events and series that they're going to be doing, maybe that's where, some of those things can be brought into focus. Maybe, tie up some loose ends in a couple of aspects and, kind of figure things out from there. But like I say, I think right now you just kind of step back, take a breath, and, respect and appreciate the 2024 calendar year for what it was, which was, a year where the level of competition just rose again. And, the fact that we can say that, again, it's further validation of having made this move to the iRacing side of things. And, there's definitely room to grow, but I think it's beyond dispute that we're on the right platform to make that happen.
Again, nothing could be more true than everything you just said there, Jordy. But to wrap this all up, again, that was the first annual Music City Championship Race presented by Side Launch Brewing here at Nashville Superspeedway, round 16 for the 2024 Canadian E-Motorsports Network IndyCar Series, powered by Kyle's Fried Chicken and Barbecue. Once again, congratulations to the 00 Jordan Kalinian on getting his second win of the season and earning the AJ Foyt Cup, the Oval Championship for Season 3 of the IndyCar Series. So, of course, with now 2024 for the Canadian Motorsports Network wrapped up, we'd like to send our sincerest thank yous to all the drivers for putting on some incredible shows every single Tuesday night with the NASCAR Series and with the IndyCar Series, all the competition committee, all the staff for being able to put this together every single Tuesday night, all the sponsors and partners who have been able to, keep us going and help support us to put on these shows here on iRacing and on our YouTube channel. Of course, to you, Jordy Carraher, you've been here since the very beginning. Of course, I don't know what I'd be able to do here in the broadcast booth without your incredible insight, your knowledge, and just being able to have that secondary voice alongside me, especially whenever there might be like silence, some dead air, and being able to have that extra personality with me certainly has helped to elevate the broadcast booth ever since I came along. So again, thank you to everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. On behalf of everybody that was mentioned there, my name is Regan McCauley out of Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in to the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, whether it was the NASCAR Series or the IndyCar Series or both, throughout an incredible year of 2024 here on this Tuesday, December 17th of 2024 for this year for the Canadian Motorsports Network. For one final time, we sign off. Happy holidays, and hopefully see you all back in 2025.